Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Maharaj's message is your advantage. The following is a Sri Krishna Chaitanya book compilation given by His Holiness Jaya Pataka Swami Maharaj on March 5th, 2021 in Sri Mayapur, India.
तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम्. Compilation of the Sri Krishna Chaitanya book, chapter entitled Brahmananda Bharati joins Lord Chaitanya, under the section The Lord's Return to Jagannath Puri. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.60. Mukunda hastily enters. Mukunda: Lord, Brahmananda Bharati has come. He is very eager to see you. Give the order and we will bring him here. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.151.
Brahmananda Bharati আর দিনে মুকুন্দ দত্ত কহে প্রভুর স্থানে ব্রহ্মানন্দ ভারতী আইলা তোমার দর্শনে.
The next day, Mukunda Datta informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Brahmananda Bharati has come to see you. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.61. Sri Krishna Chaitanya: Quite. He is my superior. I should go to him. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.152.
প্রভুর মর্যাদা জ্ঞান আজ্ঞা দেহ যদি তারে আনিয়ে এথায় প্রভু কহে গুরু তেহ যাব তার ঠাই.
Mukunda Datta then asked the Lord, shall I bring him here? Purport: Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Brahmananda Bharati is like my spiritual master. It is better that I go to him. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.153.
ভারতী সহ সাক্ষাৎকার. এত বলি মহাপ্রভু ভক্তগণ সঙ্গে চলি আইলা ব্রহ্মানন্দ ভারতীর আগে.
After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees came into the presence of Brahmananda Bharati. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.62. Sarvabhauma: When exalted persons act humbly as if they were ordinary men, the result is extraordinary. For example, even though the goddess Ganges naturally resides at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, she voluntarily descends to this material world and carries the conditioned souls back to the spiritual world. Placing the Lord in front, they walk. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.63. Wearing a deerskin garment, Brahmananda enters. Brahmananda: Looking ahead, here is Sri Krishna Chaitanya, his arms like long golden clubs, his complexion like glistening golden ketaki flowers, and his transcendental form splendidly decorated with a garland of fresh Damanaka flowers. Gracefully walking, Shri Krishna Chaitanya has now appeared before me. Chaitanya Charitamrita.
So Lord Chaitanya
So Lord Chaitanya
took the humble role,
took the humble role,
considering himself
a
disciple
of
Brahmananda Bharati.
Brahmananda Bharati.
So in this way,
in this way,
he's teaching by example. He's
teaching by example
how we should behave with our spiritual masters, God brothers.
How we should behave with our spiritual masters, God brothers.
Although he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya is adhering to the external rules and regulations. Of what is the appropriate etiquette.
Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.154.
ভারতের মৃগচর্ম বসন দর্শনে প্রভুর অসন্তোষ। ব্রহ্মানন্দ পড়িয়াছে মৃগচর্মম্বর, তাহা দেখি প্রভু দুঃখ পাইলা অন্তর।
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees approached him, they saw that he was covered with a deer skin. Seeing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very unhappy. Purport: Brahmananda Bharati belonged to the Shankara Sampradaya. The title Bharati indicates a member of one of that Sampradaya's 10 classes of sannyasis. It is customary for a person who has renounced the world to cover his body with a deer skin or the bark of a tree. This is enjoined by the Manu Samhita. But if a sannyasi who has renounced the world simply wears a deer skin and does not spiritually advance, he is bewildered by false prestige. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not like to see Brahmananda Bharati wearing a deer skin. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.64. Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Noticing the deer skin garment, he pretends not to see him. Mukunda, where is he? Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.155.
প্রভুর ভারতীকে দর্শন সত্ত্বেও অদর্শন ভান, দেখিয়া তো ছদ্ম কইল যেন দেখে নাই, মুকুন্দের পুছে কাহা ভারতী গো সাঞ্জি।
Seeing Brahmananda Bharati wearing the deer skin, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pretended not to see him. Instead, he asked Mukunda Datta, "Where is Brahmananda Bharati, my spiritual master?" Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.65. Mukunda, this is he. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.66. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, this is not he. If this were Brahmananda, then why would he wear this outer garment of deer skin? Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.156.
মুকুন্দ কহে এই আগে দেখো বিদ্যমান, প্রভু কহে তেহ নহেন তুমি অজ্ঞান।
Mukunda Datta replied, "Here is Brahmananda Bharati. in your presence. The Lord replied, You are incorrect. This is not Brahmananda Bharati. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.157.
অন্যেরে অন্য কহ নাহি তোমার জ্ঞান ভারতী গোসাঞ্জি কেনে পরিবেন চাম।
You must be talking of someone else. This is surely not Brahmananda Bharati. You simply have no knowledge. Why should Brahmananda Bharati wear deer skin? Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.67. Brahmananda, listening. Ah, he is not pleased with my deer skin. This deer skin garment is simply a way to flaunt my false pride. It is not useful. They who live a simple, honest life are actually in a good position to attain advancement in spiritual realization. What is the use of this thing? So saying, he discards the deer skin outer garment.
So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
in this very subtle way,
in,
instructed Brahmananda Bharati
in this very subtle way, instructed Brahmananda Bharati
that Vaishnava does not
that a Vaishnava does not
address in this kind of deer skin.
dress in these kind of deer skin.
Rather, Vaishnava takes a humble role
Whereas a Vaishnava takes a humble role
and wears a simple dress
and wears a simple dress
and chants Hare Krishna
and chants Hare Krishna
and renders devotional service.
and renders devotional service.
This wearing of a deer skin
This wearing of a deer skin
is something that Mayavadis do.
is what the Mayavadis do.
প্রভুর ব্যবহারে ভারতের সুবুদ্ধি শুনি ব্রহ্মানন্দ করে হৃদয়ে বিচারে মোর চর্মম্বর এ না ভাই ই হারে।
When Brahmananda Bharati heard this, he thought, My deer skin is not approved by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.159.
বাহ্য চিহ্ন ধারণেই সংসার মুক্তি লাভ ঘটে না ভালো কহেন চর্মম্বর দম্ভ লাগি পরি চর্মম্বর পরিধানে সংসার না তরি।
Thus, admitting his mistake, Brahmananda Bharati thought, He spoke well. I put on this deer skin only for prestige. I cannot cross over the ocean of nescience simply by wearing a deer skin. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.68. Sri Krishna Chaitanya glances at Damodara. Understanding Lord Chaitanya's hint, Damodara at once gives Brahmananda an outer garment of cloth. Brahmananda dresses himself in the cloth outer garment. Sri Krishna Chaitanya approaches Brahmananda and then bows down before him. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.160.
ভারতীর বহির্বাস পরিধান ও প্রভুর প্রণাম আজি হইতে না পরিব এই চর্মম্বর প্রভু বহির্বাস আনাইল জানিয়া অন্তর।
From today on, I shall not wear this deer skin. As soon as Brahmananda Bharati decided this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, understanding his mind, immediately sent for the robes of a sannyasi. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.161.
চরমাম্বার ছাড়ি ব্রহ্মানন্দ পরিল বসন, প্রভু আসি কইল তার চরণ বন্দন।
As soon as Brahmananda Bharati gave up his deer skin and covered himself with sannyasi robes, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and offered his respects at his lotus feet. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.162.
প্রভুর প্রণাম গ্রহণে ভারতীর আপত্তি। ভারতী কহে তোমার আচার লোক শিখাইতে, পুন না করিবে নতি ভয় পাং চিত্তে।
Brahmananda Bharati said, "You instruct the general populace by your behavior. I will not do anything against your wishes. Otherwise, you will not offer me respects but will neglect me. I am afraid of this." Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Lord Chaitanya
So Lord Chaitanya
did not
did not
notice Brahmananda Bharati
notice Brahmananda Bharati
along she was wearing a deer skin.
when he was wearing the deer skin.
When he took it out and was wearing sannyasi robes, then Lord Chaitanya noticed him.
When he wore the sannyasi robes, then Lord Chaitanya noticed him.
Although Lord Chaitanya was offering him respect
So although Lord Chaitanya was offering him respect
as a godbrother
as a god brother
of his guru,
of his guru,
when he was dressed improperly,
when he was dressed improperly,
he avoided recognizing him.
he avoided recognizing him.
This way,
So this way,
he adhered to the principles of etiquette,
he adhered to the principles of etiquette,
but at the same time,
but at the same time,
he was teaching
he was teaching
Brahmananda Bharati
Brahmananda Bharati
the proper
the proper
behavior of Vaishnava.
behavior of Vaishnava. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.163.
ভারতীর তত্ত্ব দর্শন, প্রভু ও জগন্নাথকে অভেদ দর্শন। সাম্প্রতিক দুই ব্রহ্ম ইহা চলাচল, জগন্নাথ অচল তুমি ব্রহ্ম সচল।
At the present moment, I see two Brahmans. One Brahman is Lord Jagannath, who does not move, and the other Brahman who is moving is you. Lord Jagannath is the Archa Vigraha, the worshipable deity, and it is he who is non-moving Brahman. But you are Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and you are moving here and there. The two of you are the same Brahman, master of the material nature, but you are playing two parts, one moving and one not moving. In this way, two Brahmans are now residing at Jagannath Puri, Purushottama. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.164.
তুমি গৌর বর্ণ তেহ শ্যাম বর্ণ, দুই ব্রহ্ম কইল সব জগত তারণ।
Of the two Brahmans, you are fair complexioned, and the other, Lord Jagannath, is blackish. Both of you are delivering the whole world. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.69. Brahmananda both frightened and struck with awe. Lord, although in order to teach the people of this world what you have done is proper, still it fills me with fear. Therefore, it is not right to do this. Sri Krishna Chaitanya offering obeisances to myself. The glories of this city of Nilachal are so great and wonderful that it is not possible for a person like me to properly describe them. In Nilachal, the Supreme Personality of Godhead now is manifest in two forms. One is a dark stationary form, and the other a moving form with a fair complexion. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.70. Sri Krishna Chaitanya. You say now. That means at this moment the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present here in a golden form. Because in your name the word Brahma refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you are that golden form of the Brahma. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.165.
প্রভুর প্রত্যুত্তর প্রভু কয়ে সত্য কহি তোমার আগমনে দুই ব্রহ্ম প্রকটিল শ্রী পুরুষোত্তমে.
Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, actually, to tell you the truth, due to your presence, there are now two Brahmans at Jagannath Puri. Lord Chaitanya avoided being called the absolute truth moving. And he diverted his by saying Brahmananda Bharati is actually Brahmananda.
So he is the Brahman.
So he is the Brahman.
So he is the moving Brahman.
So he is the moving Brahman.
And Lord Jagannath is the stationary Brahman.
And Lord Jagannath is the stationary Brahman. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.166.
ব্রহ্মানন্দ নাম তুমি গৌর ব্রহ্মচাল শ্যাম বর্ণ জগন্নাথ বসিয়াছেন অচল.
Both Brahmananda and Gaurahari are moving, whereas the blackish Lord Jagannath is sitting tight and immobile. Purport. Brahmananda Bharati wanted to prove that there is no difference between the Supreme Lord and the Jiva, whereas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to prove that he and Brahmananda Bharati were Jivas, and that although the Jivas are Brahman, they are many, but the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Brahman, is one. On the other hand, Brahmananda Bharati also wanted to prove that Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are one, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But that to fulfill his mission, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to be moving, whereas Lord Jagannath appeared to be inert. Thus, this jolly argument was going on. Finally, Brahmananda Bharati referred the whole matter to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya for a final decision.
So, Brahmananda
Bharati
is trying to prove that there are two Supreme Brahmans.
Was trying to prove there are two Supreme Brahmans
in Jagannath Puri.
in Jagannath Puri.
Lord Jagannath
Lord Jagannath
was the Achal Brahman,
was the Achal Brahman,
and the stationary
stationary,
Brahman,
stationary Brahman,
and Lord Chaitanya was the moving Brahman.
and Lord Chaitanya was the moving Brahman.
Lord Chaitanya
But Lord Chaitanya
was trying to prove
was trying to prove
that both Brahmananda Bharati and himself were jivas.
that both Brahmananda Bharati and himself are jivas,
And jivas are also Brahman,
and jivas are also Brahman,
but they are not Supreme Brahman.
but they are not the supreme Brahman.
Lord Jagannath is
Lord Jagannath is
Supreme Brahman.
supreme Brahman.
One of Lord Jagannath's names is Daru Brahma.
Mayapur Jagannath is named as Daru Brahman,
The Supreme Absolute Truth
the supreme
in
absolute,
wood.
the supreme absolute truth in wood. Chaitanya,
So this discussion referred to Sarvabhaumacharya to decide.
so this discussion was referred to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to decide. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.167.
প্রভু ও ভারতী উভয়ের বিচারে সার্বভৌমের মধ্যস্থতা। ভারতী কহে সার্বভৌম মধ্যস্থ হইয়া, ইহার সনে আমার নাই বুঝো মন দিয়া।
Brahmananda Bharati said, My dear Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, please become the mediator in this logical argument between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and me. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.168.
ভারতের জীব ব্রহ্ম বিচার। ব্যাপকভাবে জীব ব্রহ্মে জানি, জীব ব্যাপ্য ব্রহ্ম ব্যাপক শাস্ত্রেতে ব্যাখ্যানি।
Brahmananda Bharati continued, The living entity is localized, whereas the Supreme Brahman is all pervading. That is the verdict of the revealed scriptures. Purport: Brahmananda Bharati drew Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's attention because he wanted him to judge the argument. He then stated that Brahman, the Supreme Lord, is all pervading. This is confirmed by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 13.3. O Scion of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in His Paramatma feature is expanded everywhere. The Brahma Samhita says, Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastam. By virtue of His all-pervasive nature, the Supreme Lord is within the universe as well as within all elements of the universe. He is within the atom. In this way, the Supreme Lord Govinda is all pervasive. On the other hand, the living entities are very, very small. It is said that the living entity is 1/10,000 the tip of a hair. Therefore, the living entity is localized. Living entities rest on the Brahman effulgence, the bodily rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya
So, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya
approached the question in a different way.
approached the question in a different way. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.71. Brahmananda. There are a difference between the limited and the unlimited. Because I have now rejected my deer skin garment it should be understood that I am a limited Jiva soul. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.72. Sarvabhauma. Shripad Brahmananda speaks the truth. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 10.169.
স্বেচ্ছামতো চালিত করাই ইচ্ছা শক্তির পরিচালক প্রভুই বিভু বা বিষ্ণু বা ব্রহ্ম, ভারতী জীব। চর্ম ঘুচাইয়া কইল আমারে শোধন, দোহার ব্যাপক ব্যাপকত্বে এই তো কারণ।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu purified me by taking away my deer skin. This is proof that he is all pervasive and all powerful, and that I am subordinate to him. Purport. Brahmananda Bharati herein asserts that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Brahman and that he is the subordinate Brahman. This is confirmed in the Vedas. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chetananam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Brahman or Param Brahman, the chief of all living entities. Both the Supreme Brahman or the Personality of Godhead and the living entities are persons. But the Supreme Brahman is the predominator, whereas the living entities are predominated. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.73. Brahmananda. Sarvabhauma. See, the Vishnu Sahasranama describes the golden form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the words. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.73.
মহাভারতে দান ধর্ম 149, বিষ্ণু সহস্রনাম স্তোত্র 92-75। সুবর্ণ বর্ণ হেমাঙ্গ বরাঙ্গস্যানাঙ্গাদি সন্ন্যাস কিচ্ছম শান্ত নিষ্ঠা শান্তি পরায়ণ।
His bodily hue is golden, and his whole body is like molten gold. Every part of his body is very beautifully constructed and smeared with sandalwood pulp. Accepting the renounced order, the Lord is always equipoised. He is firmly fixed in his mission of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and he is firmly situated in his dualistic conclusion and in his peace. Purport. This is the quote from the Mahabharata's Vishnu Sahasranam Stotra. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.74. The name Chandanangadi refers to Lord Jagannath when he is decorated with lines drawn in sandalwood paste. See, the appearance of the Lord in his deity form brings supreme transcendental bliss. What can be said of Lord Krishna? This is all very wonderful. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.75. When one sees the blissful, all-knowing form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's senses, heart and mind all become stunned with transcendental bliss. They who reject the Lord's personal form and instead meditate on something formless in their hearts are bewildered. They do not understand the truth of the personality of Godhead. Their hearts are filled with material desires. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 10.171.
প্রভুতেই উক্ত শ্লোকের তাৎপর্য নিহিত। এই সব নামের ইহ হয় নিজস্পদ চন্দনাক্ত প্রসাদ ডোর দ্বিভুজে অঙ্গদ।
All the symptoms mentioned in the verse from the Vishnu Sahasranam Stotra are visible in the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His arms are decorated with sandalwood pulp, and the thread received from the Sri Jagannath deity, and these are his ornamental bangles.
So, in this way, Brahmananda Bharati
So, in this way, Brahmananda Bharati described
Lord Chaitanya
Lord Chaitanya
as the moving Param Brahman.
as the moving Param Brahman. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.172.
সার্বভৌমের মীমাংসা, ভারতীর জয় এবং প্রভুর পরাজয় স্বীকার। ভট্টাচার্য কহে ভারতী দেখি তোমার জয়, প্রভু কহে যেই কহ সেই সত্য হয়।
After hearing this, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya rendered his judgment, saying, Brahmananda Bharati, I see that you are victorious. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately said, I accept whatever Brahmananda Bharati had said. It is quite alright with me. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.173.
গুরুতুল্য ভারতীর নিকট শিষ্যস্থানীয় প্রভুর পরাজয় স্বীকার। গুরু শিষ্য ন্যায় শিষ্যের সত্য পরাজয়, ভারতী কহে এ নহে অন্য হেতু হয়।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus posed himself as a disciple and accepted Brahmananda Bharati as his spiritual master. He then said, the disciple is certainly defeated in an argument with the spiritual master. Brahmananda Bharati immediately countered these words, saying, this is not the cause of your defeat. There is another cause.
Lord Chaitanya
So Lord Chaitanya
was taking the position
of
Brahmananda Bharati's disciple,
Brahmananda Bharati's disciple,
since he was the god brother of his guru.
God brother of his guru.
So that's why he said, all right,
So then,
because the disciple is always defeated by the guru.
then Lord Chaitanya said, all right, the disciple should always be defeated by the guru.
But Brahmananda Bharati,
But Brahmananda Bharati,
he has some other realization.
but Brahmananda Bharati had some other realization. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.174.
ভারতীর প্রত্যক্তি, ভক্তের নিকট ভগবানের পরাজয়। ভক্ত ঠাঞ্জি হার তুমি, এ তোমার স্বভাব, আর এক শুনো তুমি আপন প্রভাব।
It is your natural characteristic to accept defeat at the hands of your devotee. There is also another glory of yours, which I ask you to hear attentively. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.175.
প্রভুর অলৌকিক মহিমা বর্ণন, ভারতীর নির্বিশেষ বিচার, চিদালাসে পর্যাবসিত। আজন্ম করিনু মঞ্জি নিরাকার ধ্যান, তোমা দেখি কৃষ্ণ হইল মোর বিদ্যমান।
I have been meditating on the impersonal Brahman since my birth. But since I have seen you, I have fully experienced Krishna. Purport. Brahmananda Bharati admitted that when there is an argument between the spiritual master and the disciple, the spiritual master is naturally victorious, although the disciple may put forward a strong argument. In other words, it is customary that the words of the spiritual master are more worshipable than the words of a disciple. Under the circumstances, since Brahmananda Bharati was in the position of a spiritual master, he emerged victorious over Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who considered himself Brahmananda Bharati's disciple. However, Brahmananda Bharati reversed the argument and took the position of a devotee, stating that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. This means that the Lord was voluntarily defeated out of affection for his devotee. He was defeated voluntarily because no one can defeat the Supreme Lord. Concerning this, the words of Bhishma in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.9.37 are important. Fulfilling my desire and sacrificing his own promise, he got down from the chariot, took up its wheel, and ran toward me hurriedly, just as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garment on the way. Krishna promised not to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. But Bhishma, in order to break Krishna's promise, attacked Arjuna in such a vigorous way that Krishna was obliged to take up a chariot wheel and attack Bhishma. The Lord did this to show that his devotee was being maintained at the sacrifice of his own promise. Brahmananda Bharati said, "Since the beginning of my life, I was attached to impersonal Brahman realization. But as soon as I saw you, I became very much attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna himself, and thus Brahmananda Bharati became his devotee."
We're saying
So we are seeing
how Brahmananda Bharati
how Brahmananda Bharati
is
presenting
a different argument.
different arguments.
How he has been presented that Krishna was Ajita in other people, but sometimes out of affection by the devotee allows himself to be defeated.
He was describing as to how Krishna is Ajita, but out of his affection for his devotees, he allows himself to be defeated. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.176.
প্রভু কৃপায় ভারতীয় কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি লাভ। কৃষ্ণ নাম স্ফুরে মুখে, মনে নেত্র কৃষ্ণ, তোমাকে তদ্রূপ দেখি, হৃদয় সতৃষ্ণ।
Brahmananda Bharati continued, "Since I have seen you, I have been feeling Lord Krishna's presence in my mind, and having been seeing him before my eyes, I now want to chant the holy name of Lord Krishna. Over and above this, within my heart, I consider you to be Krishna, and I am therefore very eager to serve you." Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 10.177.
বিল্বমঙ্গলের সহিত তুলনা। বিল্বমঙ্গল কইল জয়ছে দশা আপনার, ইহা দেখি সেই দশা হইল আমার।
Bilvamangal Thakur abandoned his impersonal realization for the realization of the personality of Godhead. I now see that my condition is similar to his, for it has already changed. Purport. In his early life, Bilvamangal Thakura was an impersonalistic monist, and he used to meditate upon the impersonal Brahman effulgence. Later, he became a devotee of Lord Krishna, and his explanation for this change is given in a verse, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.178, that is quoted in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Sometimes a devotee gradually comes to the stage of Bhagavan realization of the Supreme Person. After having attained the lowest stages of realization, impersonal Brahman realization and localized Paramatma realization, the condition of such a devotee is described in the Chaitanya Chandramrita by Prabodhananda Saraswati. Kaivalya, oneness in the effulgence of Brahman, appears hellish to the devotee. The heavenly planets, the abodes of the demigods, appear to a devotee like phantasmagorias. The yogis meditate for sense control, but for the devotee, the senses appear like serpents with broken teeth. The devotee doesn't have to control his senses, for his senses are already engaged in the Lord's service. Consequently, there is no possibility that the senses will act like serpents. In the material condition, the senses are as strong as poisonous snakes. When the senses are engaged in the Lord's service, they are like poisonous snakes with their fangs removed. And so, they are no longer dangerous. The entire world is a replica of Vaikuntha for the devotee, because he has no anxiety. He sees that everything belongs to Krishna, and he does not want to enjoy anything for himself. He does not even aspire for the position of Lord Brahma or Indra. He simply wants to engage everything in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he has no problem. He stands in his original constitutional position. All this is possible when one receives Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's merciful glance. In the Chaitanya Chandramrita, there are many more verses illustrating the same principle. Chaitanya Chandramrita 1960. A discussion of the impersonal Brahman is not very palatable to a devotee. The so-called regulations of the Shastras also appear null and void to him. There are many people who argue over the Shastras, but for a devotee, such discussions are but tumultuous roaring. By the influence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these problems disappear.
So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
by his
by his
presence.
presence,
He naturally the impersonal concept is defeated.
so naturally the impersonal concept is defeated.
All his and the spiritual master in the disciplic succession from him
All the spiritual masters in the disciplic succession from him
also destroy this false idea of the impersonal truth.
also destroy this false idea of the impersonal truth. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.178.
কৃষ্ণের ইচ্ছা মাত্রই কর্ম ও জ্ঞান নিষ্ঠার ধ্বংস। শ্রীকৃষ্ণ কর্ণামৃতে বিল্বমঙ্গল বাক্য। অদ্বৈত বিধি পথৈ কৈরূপাস্য সানন্দ সিংহাসনলব্ধ দীক্ষা শটেন কেনাপি বয়ং হটেন দাসী কৃতা গোপবধূ বিটেন।
Brahmananda Bharati concluded, although I was worshipped by those on the path of monism and initiated into self-realization through the yoga system, I have nonetheless been forcibly turned into a maidservant by some cunning boy who is always joking with the gopis. Purport. This is a verse written by Bilvamangal Thakur. It is quoted in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 3.1.44. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.179.
প্রভুর ভারতীকে মহাভাগবত বলিয়া প্রশংসা। প্রভু কহে কৃষ্ণে তোমার গাঢ় প্রেমা হয়, যাহা নেত্র পড়ে তাহা কৃষ্ণ স্ফূর্তি হয়।
Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "You have a deep, ecstatic love for Krishna. Therefore, wherever you turn your eyes, you simply heighten your Krishna consciousness."
Lord Chaitanya is
Lord Chaitanya is
diverting the arguments of Brahmananda Bharati.
Refuting the arguments of Brahmananda Bharati.
That he sees Lord Chaitanya as Krishna because
That he
he's
sees
a Mahabhagavat.
that he sees Lord Chaitanya as Krishna because he is a Mahabhagavat.
And everything he sees simply enhances his Krishna consciousness.
And everything he sees simply enhances his Krishna consciousness. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.180.
সার্বভৌমের কৃষ্ণ কৃপা মহিমা ব্যাখ্যা। ভট্টাচার্য কহে তোমার হয় সত্য বচন, আগে যদি কৃষ্ণ দেন সাক্ষাৎ দর্শন।
Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya said, "The statements of both of you are correct. Krishna gives direct audience through his mercy." Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.181.
ভক্তের প্রেম সেবা ও ভগবানের কৃপায় পরস্পরের মিলন বা যোগসূত্র। প্রেম বিনা কভু নহে তার সাক্ষাৎকার, ইহার কৃপাতে হয় দর্শন ইহার।
Without having ecstatic love for Krishna, one cannot see him directly. Therefore, through the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Brahmananda Bharati has acquired direct vision of the Lord. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You are Brahmananda Bharati, an advanced devotee who ecstatically loves the Supreme Lord. Therefore, you see Krishna everywhere, and there is no doubt about it. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a mediator between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Brahmananda Bharati, and his judgment was that an advanced devotee like Brahmananda Bharati was seeing Krishna by Krishna's mercy. Krishna directly presents himself before the vision of an advanced devotee. Since Brahmananda Bharati was an advanced devotee, he saw Krishna in the person of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the words of the Brahma Samhita 5.38, I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shyamasundara, situated within the heart of the devotee.
So in this way,
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya
had declared both Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Brahmananda Bharati as victorious.
had reclaimed that both Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Brahmananda Bharati as victorious. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.182.
বাহ্য জীবাভিমান হেতু প্রভুর সার্বভৌম বাক্যে অনাদর। প্রভু কয়ে বিষ্ণু বিষ্ণু কি কহ সার্বভৌম, অতি স্তুতি হয় এই নিন্দার লক্ষণ।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, what are you saying? Lord Vishnu, save me. Such glorification is simply another form of blasphemy. Purport: Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a little embarrassed by the Bhattacharya's statement. Therefore, he uttered the name Vishnu to save himself. The Lord herein confirms that if one is overestimated, glorification is just another form of blasphemy. In this way, he protests the so-called offensive statement.
See, Srila Prabhupada was being greeted
Seeing Srila Prabhupada was being greeted
in Boston
in
1969
1969
in the airport.
And
when he came out,
all devotees offered their obeisances.
All devotees offered their obeisances.
So then he sat
and said how the spiritual master should be offered all respect like we offer to God.
And spoke that how the spiritual master should be offered all respect like the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
God is G-O-D.
God is G-O-D.
But if the spiritual master thinks he is God,
but if the spiritual master thinks that he is God,
he's not D-O-D.
He's not G-O-D.
He's D-O-G.
He is D-O-G.
Dog. So what Lord Chaitanya is saying here,
So what Lord Chaitanya is saying here,
that someone
says that
you're Krishna,
says that you are Krishna,
that's actually a blasphemy.
That is actually a blasphemy.
And that so he was chanting Vishnu, Vishnu.
He would chant Vishnu, Vishnu,
closing his ears,
so that he could be
protected from such an offense.
So that he could be protected from such an offense. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 10.183.
ভারতীকে সঙ্গে লইয়া প্রভুর স্বস্থানে আগমন। এত বলি ভারতীরে লইয়া নিজ বাসা আইলা, ভারতী গোসাঞ্জি প্রভুর নিকটে রহিলা।
After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took Brahmananda Bharati with him to his residence. From that time on, Brahmananda Bharati remained with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.79. Damodara to Brahmananda. Shripad, may I remind you, it is time to go and attend to your duties. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.80. Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Lord, it is right. Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka 8.81. Brahmananda. As it please your lordship, accompanied by Damodara and some others, he exits. Thus,
This meaning of Brahmananda Bharati and Lord Chaitanya
so this meeting of Brahmananda Bharati and Lord Chaitanya
was something very unique.
was something very unique,
And we can see how
the
philosophical discussions between both of them
the philosophical discussions between both of them
is something very enlivening.
was something very enlivening. Thus ends the chapter entitled Brahmananda Bharati joins Lord Chaitanya under the section The Lord's Return to Jagannath Puri.
Do you like our ad-free videos? Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.